Now, wherever possible, you would like the client to actually make the payment via the booking payment form. And the reason being is then it complies with the Payment Service Directive, that PSD legislation. Now, most of the legislation would have affected your 3D security, which is the part of the online checkout process, sometimes where you actually have to enter password in a small window that's directly connected with your bank, or that additional security step where you maybe usually send a code to your phone by SMS, for example. Now, if you've placed an admin booking, you're going to have to send or resend a letter from within your booking. This needs to include your payment link. Now, importantly, we can only send a payment link if we are integrated with one of our payment processes. So, for example, holiday rent payment. So within a booking, you're going to be selecting the letter template that you want to send to your guest. Okay, so the first thing is to obviously make sure that there is an email address within the booking. Okay, and then what you're going to do is that you're going to go to select the type of letter. So for example, I'm going to be sending a balance reminder letter or maybe a booking confirmation. I'm going to ensure that this checkbox for email has been checked because I'm sending it via email. I'm then going to determine whether I'm going to append my summary text or insert text into the summary. Very important that you have this booking summary because this is where the payment link is actually found. If I then go and select generate, what happens is that a new pop-up will open and you'll see that that's the letter that it's sending. And you'll see if you scroll down to the bottom of it, you'll see that within the booking confirmation, there's this pay using card link. And this is what the guest will use in order to pay for it. And obviously down at the bottom right-hand corner, this is where you're going to select to send it off to the guest. So remember, you can also keep track of all of your different payments based on that booking within the customer payments tab. So this customer payments tab, so you can see what has been paid or hasn't been paid. And then obviously keep track of them all using your payment reminders page. Now, online bookings and payments are taken via the payment form, like I've mentioned, are shown here. Okay, now if you're using a payment processor, you can now see logs for every card payment that's made within a booking. So if you see here down at the bottom, you can see we have had one payment that's been taken through. It happens to be the deposit, but I can actually see the exact payments I'm using this online processor log. And it's handy because what we've been finding is that obviously due to the recent changes and the increase in security, sometimes there's a naturally higher payment decline. And these logs can actually help you diagnose why payment failed and maybe help you solve it yourself and quickly. So if you select that online processor log, what it will do, it will show you the client tried to submit the payment using the web form, but it was declined and it had a generic E1025. Now you can search our handy articles, help articles, where you can see what each of these error codes actually mean. It was declined, and then eventually whatever was incorrect, so say for example, they provide the correct code from their bank and it was verified, the payment eventually went through. Okay, so it's also, like I said, it's handy for all of those third-party bookings. So when the guest places a booking on a third-party platform, be it booking.com or Verbo, and they actually enter the card details directly into the booking.com platform, these card details are then registered within the booking, and we receive these card payment details as tokens. And these will then be ready for us to process within Super Control. So I'm going to show you an example of which one. And basically, in order for us to process it, so you can see here, this is the token. We've received it from booking.com. It is a token. It's not an actual payment, but the value that they have approved for you to use on this virtual credit card is £359.57. Okay, we then attempted to do a booking balance, but unfortunately there was an invalid postal code at a later stage. We also then took the £200 security deposit, and that was done as a pre-auth because it's a security deposit, and that's what you're able to pre-auth using HRP. So obviously, when we're going to be doing these payments, we just need to remember that we're going to be using the card that has been registered, that has been sent through when processing the payment. One way to know whether a card has been registered and is available to do a repeat payment is to check and see that the little card identification is actually in blue. If it is gray, it's not available to enable for future payments to go ahead. Do you want to go and see what payments have been made by guests? So the way you do this, by going to bookings, and then go to charts and reports and saying search customer payments. Again, you can enter your basic filter parameters and select filter. And from these search results, you can then see the total amount that's been paid by the customer. You can also see what it is associated with. So if it is to be associated with a balance, for example, if it's to do with your deposit, it gives you these various details. Say, for example, this is an example of just a report that I ran a little bit earlier. So this is for May. I can see that there I've had bookings that are associated with these particular bookings. I can see the payment method that is set, and then more towards the right, I can tell you whether it is associated with the deposit or the balance, for example. Within this report, you also have the option to reconcile, as in show whether the payment has actually reached your bank account or not. It's basically just a tick option for reconciled. So once you're happy that it has been reconciled, you check the option and select save. That shows it being reconciled on your bank account. Now, depending on your booking terms and conditions, you may actually need to refund some monies owed to a client. So maybe you can no longer provide a booking extra that was selected, for example, is one example, or maybe you need to refund an overpayment. Now, again, we're staying within this customer payments tab, and basically what you're going to be doing is that next to the actual holiday rent payment transaction, there is the option to select this holiday rent payment refund, or if you're using a pay, it would be a pay or refund. This is where you're going to be selecting it. If you select that, you're asked where you want to allocate it to. So the amount, for example, if it is against a refundable deposit, I would add in £300 or whatever your refundable deposit was. This is where I'd add it. If it was another option, as in overpayment or something else, this is where I'd say other refund, and it'll give you the total that you're trying to attempt to return to the client. The also option is to select what type of refund. I'm actually refunding the security deposit, for example, or I'm refunding an overpayment. Those are your options at the next checkbox, and then you select proceed. As with payments, you'll get your success pop-up will appear, and it will only be successful if you've got the transaction reference number. And so if it doesn't have that reference number, it may mean that you haven't, as with payments, you didn't check to do it via holiday rent payment. So for example, maybe you did it as a custom payment because it was via bank transfer. You must always remember that if you're trying to return it back to the card that they paid on, it needs to be done using this option. It's always important to check before you do any refunds to a booking. Say, for example, a client decides they're going to cancel it, whether they have actually got one of our third-party refund protection within the booking. So we have XCover on our bookings. You may actually recognize it used to be known as Booking Protect. Very important is it's a refund protection that basically provides the guest with the opportunity to add enhanced refund terms during that checkout process. And this full refund is then administered by Booking Protect or XCover in this case, and it covers anyone within their party that are unable to stay due to unforeseen circumstances. And these are based on the terms and conditions that they checked at the time of booking. Now, the full booking value is covered, and the refund request would actually need to be handled by XCover, so not by you. So always remember to check and see if a guest is requested to cancel, whether they have got XCover enabled or not for this booking.